X gonna give it to you. Fuck waiting for you to get it on your own. X gonna deliver to you. Knock, knock, open up the door. It's real. With the non-stop pop-up of the stainless steel. Are you actually playing the thing now? Okay, no more copyright things. Stop it. No copyrights.
That was a very catchy song, though.
I hope it doesn't show up on your recording.
I could have sworn. Was it a really old one, or is that
That's like 2000s at least.
Oh, yeah, at least like they're made for the film, but just tied.
No, it wasn't made for the film. No, it was always web.
The film used a lot of 80s and 90s.
Okay, yeah, no. But anyway, hello everybody. Welcome to Movie Mumbles, where the Mumbles have R-rated superheroes in it, or they don't. I'm Roy Johnson, and there's
Wumble.
Wumble, you gonna say anything?
There is a Wumble somewhere.
Yeah, there's a Wumble somewhere. We don't know.
He's the resident DJ. So
yeah, the resident DJ playing our copyright in music.
You're fine for like a couple of seconds. You'll be fine.
I hope tell that to companies.
Anyway,
at least it wasn't Viacom.
Shut. Okay, we have a special guest who won't stop talking right now. It's my brother Joe Johnson, who's in the room with me, and he's making a bunch of ruckus. And yeah, but anyway, Joe Johnson, you want to talk a bit about yourself for 2 seconds?
Yeah. My name's Joe Johnson. I have a YouTube channel
that you don't post anything on.
I'm working on that. It's work in progress.
Yeah, work in progress for about
basically,
a year now.
I got a really I'm the guy who picked this little theme, which is R-rated superheroes.
Yeah, and we, the Johnsons, shut up, are big fans of superheroes. DC, but Marvel, we love it. Well, actually, Joe specifically picked this one, R-rated superhero flicks. Now, the ones we picked, Joe picked, we thought there wasn't really that much R-rated, but there's actually a lot of choices for it.
Yeah.
Wumble was talking about some of the R-rated superhero picks that weren't picked.
I thought like Deadpool and another film would be working on the only ones.
Deadpool's kind of the obvious one because obviously this was the one that.
It's probably the most popular, one of the most popular ones.
Along with the other film.
It's the most popular superhero movie as of this date.
Yeah,
It's grossed the highest than any other, and it didn't have as big a budget.
Which is saying a lot, considering how many superhero movies have been released.
Yeah.
Which has been it's been a lot.
Is it on the charts compared to like Civil War?
I mean, I'm not sure about box
Civil War as far as I was aware.
I'll check to make sure. But anyway, just to confirm, we're talking about the 2016 Deadpool movie for our R-rated superheroes, and yeah, this is definitely an interesting one. It's interesting that this is one of the most popular superhero movies because it's a traditional superhero movie, but it's also not in certain cases.
It plays with a lot of tropes. That's
So and we'll talk about that as it goes on. But before we continue, let's just make sure spoilers will be ahead for the rest of the podcast.
Overall, you want to give a quick overall thoughts?
Let's start with a summary. You want to do a summary, or Joe, or
no? It's not my pick. It's the person who picked it.
Okay. Here's the summary. Overall summary of the film itself, our thoughts.
No, plot.
No, the summary of the film.
Okay, overall thoughts is...
No, plot. I said plot, not thoughts. Plot.
No, I said overall plot is that pretty much Wade Wilson was a mercenary and a little good mercenary, and he eventually met in love with this slutty slut.
Okay, so no.
And then
no. Let's retry that because you're mumbling a bit on Movie Mumbles. Okay.
I know it's almost as though the name that we created was
planned for
this event right now.
But enunciate and give a better plot.
All right, Wade Wilson was like a little mercenary who did a few jobs and help out. Even does even to a few girls who he's a little helpful one. And
he's like a roguish, kind of.
Yeah, an anti-hero.
Almost.
But anyway, she met love with this prostitute named Vanessa Duran, and they had a very loving time until, guess what?
Wade had cancer.
Yes, cancer's a bitch.
Yeah, and then so I'll continue from here if you want.
No, then there's this guy. What was that? The guy in the suit.
It's just a man in black type.
A man in black type guy, and he offered him to cure his cancer as well as give him extraordinary release. He signed up, and he was subjected to numerous tortures, which eventually caused him to get the look that he's famous for Deadpool.
Yeah, he's got this whole disfigured look as a result of the treatment, but he's also got all these powers of like regeneration,
regeneration powers.
Essentially, yeah. He said essentially,
and I guess you could say Hans Senses because he does a lot of shit that would say superhuman, despite Hans Senses. But I digress.
So basically, this film is a fast-talking mercenary with a morbid sense of humor who is subject to a rogue experiment that leaves with an accelerated healing powers and the quest for revenge.
Yeah, that's definitely not something we've seen before.
It's not something that I've just read off Internet Movie Database either, you know, word for word.
Yeah, no, but yeah, and basically the whole thing's almost like a revenge story meets a romance story, because he basically has to find revenge against Ajax.
As well as to fix him.
To fix let's
talk about it. Let's talk about Ajax for a minute, because
we're starting off with the negatives.
My problem with Ajax is the fact that he is serious. He's probably the only character that's serious in the whole film. Like, his whole character is just around being very grumpy and very angry. And I get it. Deadpool isn't designed, the film isn't designed to be about anyone else. It's about to be it's designed to be about Deadpool and how close he is compared to with like the comics, whether with the fourth wall breaks and his morbid sense of humor and everything like that. But the villain's terrible. He's boring, and I'm kind of glad he doesn't get that much screen time, to be honest.
I will agree the villain is kind of serviceable in a kind of Marvel MCU kind of way, whereas he's not memorable. I will agree with you on that point. But I think he's serviceable enough to the plot. Like, he does his job all right. You know, I wouldn't say he gives a terrible performance. Yeah. It's just,
and there are a few chuckles, but
it's bog standard with every other comic book movie. Like, they don't subvert it. Like, so they subvert every other part of like the comic book movie genre, apart from the villain, and that's kind of what annoys me the most about this film, is because
you feel that the villain was very basic.
Marvel movies are very well known for not having very good villains.
Yeah, like there's Loki. Yeah, Loki's the exception, but I do agree, and I will agree. Like, the villain is definitely not the strong suit, but I do think every other part of the movie does like a good enough job to kind of make up for it.
I wouldn't say every other part. I would say there's a lot of great in this movie, but there are other problems with the movie. Like, TJ fucking Miller, for instance, is literally not needed. He literally plays the comic relief character in a film full of comedy that is very natural and witty and subversive, and he just delivers one-liners all the time, and it breaks down the film. And whenever he kind of comes onto the screen, I'm just like, oh, this guy again.
I don't mind. I mean, he's more like the sort of like friend type, while also kind of inverting some like playing with the friend type, because like he kind of betrayed Wade by giving him to the Deadpool, and
signing him up for the Deadpool, not Deadpool. Like, in the story, there's a Deadpool where, you know, in this shady ass bar, which inspires the name, which actually does give a kind of funny scene.
Yeah,
Captain Deadpool.
No, just Deadpool.
That's a good, cool, funny lines like, Deadpool, that sounds like a fucking franchise.
I mean, the whole movie's fairly meta. Like, this is almost essentially a parody of superhero movies.
Yeah.
And it comes territory with the character. Now, we can talk about the gripes, but let's just present the ultimate, I think, is the best part of the movie, which is Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool, which we are both, me and Joe are huge fans of Deadpool.
Yeah, I've read a lot of the comics.
Yeah, he in particular is more familiar with the comic side, and I've always wanted to see a Deadpool type movie. And of course, last time we had Deadpool on screen, it was.
We don't talk about that.
No,
we don't talk about that.
But let's just say it gave such a bad reputation to the character.
With the exception of like before he went that transformation, which was actually pretty cool. Well, and Ryan Reynolds will make a good
Merc with the mouth, but without a mouth.
Yeah, but no, that part of he means like before that happened. But that gave such a bad reputation that it seems unlikely that a Deadpool movie would exist, but
until a trailer.
Well, not a trailer, but like a demo thing kind of got leaked essentially, which
that was all on purpose as well. As far as I'm aware, I reckon that was Fox trying to raise funds for it to make sure that the fans were aware that this sort of thing was going to be happening. They,
yeah,
it definitely did work though.
Yeah,
of course it worked. Yeah,
though it was weird, like because the trailer, the very early like little demo. First off, Deadpool looks CGI.
That's because that's how the demo was. It was all CGI.
True, but you know something cool, like interesting? Like in that Deadpool little demo, it felt like more like PG-13. However, when we get to Deadpool, the actual film, it's rated R.
Yeah, no, and I think that...
I think a noticeable scene is where in the demo he says something different when sniffing the guns when the R-rated is like, he's touching myself.
Because essentially the demo actually is essentially they do remake the demo in this movie. There's a very similar scene from that demo in the movie. So you can kind of tell that was maybe like an early script idea that they fleshed out to show Warner Brothers or Fox, hey, this is how a Deadpool movie would work, and they leaked it, so see if people would like it. And of course, everyone loved it, and then a Deadpool movie got pushed. And I think this is an interesting talking point, because this movie has to be R-rated. This is a kind of one of those necessary R-rated movies, because it fits well with the character.
And I think people will be very, very pissed off if they didn't get their R-rated Deadpool. Much as like people want Wolverine to wear the suit.
We already got a
PG-13
R-rated, Deadpool.
And it was the worst type of version of it.
Yeah, exactly. So
Barakapool.
But anyway,
I think people were already apprehensive re-bringing Ryan Reynolds back in with his efforts of getting into the superhero game when he was younger.
It's not just and then don't forget Green Lantern.
Yeah, exactly.
Green Lantern.
I love that they make fun of Green Lantern. One of the jokes is, I really hope that my costume isn't green and see animated.
Or animated, yeah. Yeah, and there was definitely a lot of risks, and I do think this movie does fulfill a Deadpool fan's desire of seeing, because this is definitely an authentic Deadpool experience.
Yeah.
There's all the characters in Deadpool that you see for the most part have played a major role in the comics. Blind Owl, Weasel, even Ajax was a Deadpool villain. He's more interesting in the comics, I will admit. He's a kind of a cyborg, but all the elements are there, and particular Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool is a
he makes
faithful...
it good. Makes a really good Deadpool, both Wade Wilson and Deadpool himself. So I am wondering, do you like the idea of Wade Wilson introduction earlier, before he got the transformation in Mercenary? Do you feel like you should have contained that jokey side, or you feel like that doesn't it feel weird when Wade Wilson appears, he's acting all jokesy, sort of acting all jokesy, making jokes, sexual puns, acting like Deadpool.
Almost, but without the insanity, kind of.
Yeah, you think that if he done a little less, and then we go to just...
Because in the comics, he was actually serious, and then he kind of became insane and jokey after the transformation. That's a slight deviation.
Do you mind that? You two. Do you understand what I'm saying?
No, sorry, I was zoned out for a second.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you for...
but essentially saying, the kind of transformation, what do you think about actual Deadpool's character, essentially? Because from, the transformation from, Wade Wilson to Deadpool, and such...
Well, the character of Deadpool has been handled fine. I didn't really focus on the character of Deadpool when I rewatched this. I think this is now the third viewing I think I've done. Yeah. So I wasn't really focused on more his character. I was more looking at the cinematography. I was looking at the sound, how that could be incorporated. I was looking at it more from a filmmaker's point of view rather than a comic book fan, which I'm both. As terms of a comic book fan, I mean, everything in this film, I was pleased. I was pleased with. I know of Deadpool. I've read a couple of the comics. I've read, I think the biggest one that I read was Night of the Living Deadpool, which was an amazing run by George Romero, I think.
George Romero? Really?
Cool.
And it literally subverted Night of the Living, whatever, I can't remember.
Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah. So it subverted that and then added in Deadpool. I'm fully aware of Deadpool and was aware when I went into the film. But at the same time, it was kind of obvious. They were playing to the fans a lot, and well, I don't know, because at the same time, it's difficult to kind of hit on these movies because they're so subversive and they break the fourth wall a lot, and they're very intelligent and they're very mature. But my third viewing, it didn't add anything. I didn't gain any more than what I did on the first viewing. And the first viewing, I actually was a little bit disappointed with the film. It took the second viewing to be actually, no, I did enjoy this. And then I've rewatched it for a third time, and I'm maybe my first impressions was right, Maybe, I don't know, it's a good film, but it's something that I expected. It didn't go above my expectations, and it didn't drop below them. So it's just kind of like averaging in the middle kind of thing. Does that make sense?
I can see what like on an aesthetic level, this movie doesn't really break ground. It doesn't really, do anything out there. Like, as much as Deadpool does poke fun at superhero tropes,
there are some like tropes.
It's still a traditional superhero story,
And there are some like for example, the similar like romance, which I kind of like the romance, like how it started out, like how they meet up, but like it's kind of like a similar love story. As the other films.
I will I'm not sure what your thoughts, but I did appreciate the love story in a sense because it grounded the movie in a more emotional level, because admittedly a wacky Deadpool adventure where he's just all haha,
that is something
meta jokes and all that stuff.
I love about like Deadpool, and especially in this film, it shows more the emotional and tragic side, because there is actually a tragic side to Deadpool in the comics.
There's depth to his character, it's not just wacky jokes and breaking the fourth wall,
kind of like in the game, which more focus on the comedy adventure side, like more the comedy jokey, got all his things from fortune sort of guy.
The point being is essentially there is a bit of a serious side to this, which I think does ground the movie, because it could have just been like, as much as I love Deadpool, like too much of the comedic side can get tiring, and I do think aspects of serious Deadpool that do show up are interesting, and overall Ryan Reynolds' performance is phenomenal. Like, whether he's playing the jokey Deadpool or the more serious side, I think he gives an all-out incredible performance.
His performance is good. So is I can't remember her name. This is when names fail me.
Which one?
The actress that plays Vanessa. Her performance is great as well. Performance-wise, like, and then we get down to like T.J. Miller, and I'm gonna go back to him because I really don't think he fitted into this movie. He was literally like there. It was like okay, so we know Weasel is kind of like the comic relief to Deadpool. He's kind of like his sidekick, his friend kind of thing, who helps Wade through troubling times, and who Wade can kind of relate to, and that sort of thing, whatever. But with Weasel, they kind of just went down the, I have a line for every situation kind of comedy, and for me, a lot of that, like, I don't like that sort of comedy. I don't, especially when I'm watching it on the film, like, all that is to me, that's lazy screenplay, because just saying a joke and then watching the joke and then watching the response and then going back to the original joke, and it's like, hey, to the audience, it's lazy. I think that there's better comedy in this film, and that's over the kind of like the overarching visual effects. Now let's go to the opening fight scene in the car, because that is incredibly funny all the way through, and there's hardly a word spoken in it. It's visual comedy, and that is what I wanted from the film. I don't need, with a film like this, that gives you visual comedy, comic book style visual comedy as well, by the way, because it was very comic bookish. Like, with a film that does that, you don't need one-liners. You don't need them, because they're just, it just tires the film. You've heard all the one-liners before.
I don't mind the one-liners, like, because to be fair, Deadpool is the type of character who can't stop talking off his mouth, like. So
yeah, well, I'm fine with it from Deadpool, but why do we need it with every character? Like, literally, Weasel does not need to be the character that is also giving out one-liners. Vanessa doesn't need to be giving out one-liners. Ajax doesn't need to be giving out one-liners.
It feels weird.
It just gets dull and irritating.
I feel it does get like weird, like especially like with stuff like Negasonic Teenage like Warhead, like. Well, I don't think they really need. I think they should be a little more serious and like act like the what the heck is he saying? Like what the heck is Deadpool saying? Kind of person, like which is actually Vanessa, because they are technically a lot more compatible.
I would disagree, because that would be essentially filling every other character as a straight man, which I think would also be like just as routine.
I wouldn't go that far. My main bugbear is with T.J. Miller, because he was literally there to give out one-liners and nothing else. He did nothing else for the movie.
I don't mind him. He's like the best friend character. I don't mind him.
Like exposition and one-liners, that was all he was good for.
I do agree. Like some of T.J. Miller's lines don't work, especially when sometimes he breaks the fourth wall as well. Like the scene where he goes, that'll start a franchise, or the scene where he gives him the card, like, that might have advanced the plot. Like, it makes less sense for like Deadpool, that's part of his character.
That sounds like a nerd thing. I just didn't mind because it sounds like just like a bunch of nerds.
But it's
there are a bunch of nerds.
But it doesn't really make like that's a bit too like meta humor for someone who's essentially a character in the plot. Like he's not. Deadpool.
Its own. At the end of the day, it should only be Deadpool that is making those references because he's the only like the whole point in Deadpool is the fact that he's kind of insane. He thinks that there's someone reading this in a book. He thinks that there's someone watching this in the cinema and the film, and he's the star of the film. That's the idea behind Deadpool, that he's lost his marbles, he's lost his mind. But it creates jokes in itself because he's actually, subverting the fourth wall, which is amazing and incredibly funny. When another character who it doesn't have that ability starts making those jokes as well, it falls flat.
I would say I wouldn't mind them because actually I agree with you, brother, on the fact that I don't think not everyone has to be like the straight man, but I feel like that the jokes could be not so meta, like you said.
On the other characters.
Yes, but outside that, I will say what I love about the jokes here as well is that the jokes don't often have to rely on, hey, I'm part of a film.
Yeah, it doesn't specifically rely on just meta humor. The meta humor works, but there's other types of comedy in there. Particularly, I like how they utilize the R-rated movie for a bunch of black comedy type jokes, and very much this movie works with the R rating. It's not just like a few curse words and a little bit of blood, and that's it to get that R rating.
I love a few jokes. I'd like to name a few. One of them, my favorite,
the Zamboni scene.
The boner scene.
The Zamboni scene.
The boners, was massively like jacking off, only going to a flashback. Fast forward. Okay, not that far.
You're talking about the one where he jacks off with the unicorn in hand. I was talking about the Zamboni scene, where it's just a simple joke. It's a joke that kind of plays with the camera, because it looks like Deadpool's closer to the camera than he actually is. But it turns out he's this man is running away on an ice rink, and then Deadpool chases him after him with the Zamboni. And then it's just he plays with perspective, so you think Deadpool's closer than he actually is, but he's actually just a mile away. And it's just the thought of this slow and agonizing death with the Zamboni is just it's a simple moment in a montage, but it's fucking hilarious.
Though I will say the montage death is cool for a lot of things, showing off a quick way to show off his progression of the costume change, which reminded me a lot of Human Spider. But also
the Spider-Man, it reminded me of Spider-Man kind of.
Human Spider. Especially in the first one.
Yeah, but it made a bit more it showed why the progression of his costume, why it's red, and made room for his mouth to speak because he does a lot of that, and yeah,
wore the brown pants. Okay, but something funny about that little montage where he's asking people where's Francis? Only Wade and the other guy.
Francis, Ajax, yeah.
Yeah, only Wade and the other guy know who Ajax's real name is, and so throughout the whole time interrogating, he's asking people for a person that they don't know.
Yeah, they don't know his name is Francis, so even if they wanted to tell him, he couldn't, and either way, he kills them anyway. So he doesn't get much information.
I love that. When you look behind it, during the montage. Also, the music that played on it.
Yeah, the soundtrack's really good.
The music during the Deadpool rap. That actually came from originally a YouTube channel by the name of Team Headcanon, and they originally did a Deadpool rap for the game, and then I guess the film studio was asked to do a movie version of it, and it was actually...
The films, yeah, it was a cool little tribute to the fans, and I very much think this is Ryan Reynolds' dream project.
This whole film is a tribute to the fans. You're kidding yourselves if you're thinking otherwise. I mean, the whole reason why this film's been made is because the fans were demanding it for years and years and years. 10 years since this was released? 10 years after Wolverine Origins?
No,
not pleased with that.
5, 6, approximately, 7 years. But yeah, no, it was 2009.
It might be 2009 actually.
Yeah,
2009. Sorry, it was X-Men 3 that was 2006.
What were you saying?
I was saying, as a film itself, a film itself, if you're not a comic fan, I still personally enjoy it.
I think it's still enjoyable. Even you get more enjoyment if you're a Deadpool fan or a comic fan, but I still think it's enjoyable enough. The humor is really good. I think the action's really good.
The laughs, I love the action, actually. Like,
yeah, no, there's a like I love the introduction. Like they do something clever with the origin story where they splice it with an action scene. So like the origin stuff's all right, but like it can be annoying, like origin stuff going on and on when you just want action. And so they actually do splice it up with an action scene, which I think is very clever because like it still gives you some of that energy. And then some story.
Let's really quickly for a last point, let's talk about the director Tim Miller, because he hasn't directed a feature-length film before this, and he hasn't directed one since. He's got 2 untitled projects coming up, which I'll talk about in a minute. I think the reason why he got to be director of this was mainly because of his work on Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. He did like visual effects and stuff for that. And the visual effects for Scott Pilgrim are amazing. And Scott Pilgrim is directed by the wonderful, wonderful Edgar Wright, who does a lot of visual jokes and stuff. So going back to like my point I made earlier about like the visual jokes, there are a lot of visual jokes in this. And the CGI scene where he's in the car and then the slow motion slows right down for that joke of shit kind of thing, and like it makes it funny. So from that point of view, a really great director. The other points of views, and I'm going back to the comedy side because this film is very much comedic. Oh, my freaking timer's going off. Shut up. Because this film is very comedic, he doesn't know how to hold a conversation on the screen. So he's got all the visual effects, but he doesn't know how to hold a conversation. Now, this leads me into his 2 untitled, well, one of them's in pre-production, one of them has been announced, films that he's going to direct. So the first one is the untitled Terminator 6 movie starring Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Judgment Day is inevitable.
As the Terminator. That's due to release in 2019, but it is still in pre-production, so they haven't started filming or anything. And the next one, which is only announced, which means it could probably fall through, is a Kitty Pryde spin-off film.
Whoa, what the?
Who's looking forward to that? Exactly. So, like, the prospects for this director don't look good down the road. The 2 films there that just...
Apparently he's going to be an executive producer for the Sonic the Hedgehog film, which...
I don't care about producing. Producing means nothing. That just means that he's giving money for
Okay.
They don't really do anything in Hollywood.
Yeah, I'm just trying to point out, that's all.
Yeah. Directorial path, how Deadpool has set him up, not really that well, if those are the only things that he's got lined up. I don't know whether he chose these things. I mean,
I think he was originally going to do the sequel, but apparently he didn't work well with Ryan Reynolds, who I think is really the creative head of the movie, because he was the one that was pushing for Deadpool movie even before the character was really, really big.
Yes.
I think very much, I see this more as his film than Tim Miller's film, because, not just because of the portrayal, but I very much think he had a big hand in...
Who's directing the second?
I forgot. He did John Wick. The guy who did John Wick.
Okay. I think that will probably go down really well because John Wick has a lot of visual kind of effects. I don't know whether he'll be able to hold the humor.
We'll see how it goes, but
we'll see.
Kind of just to close this off, I do think I overall think this is a really good film. I am biased because I am a huge Deadpool fan, but this movie definitely satisfied my wish for a really great Deadpool movie. It's not perfect, I will give you that, but I think overall the action's really good, the comedy's really good, there's some great scenes. Like, the credits in general are just, both opening and ending ones are very creative, especially the opening one. It's just fucking, it's a mini short film in itself, and it's hilarious.
Yeah, as well as the ending credits, as well as the secret ending, like that little like reference,
that Ferris Bueller reference at the end end credits.
It's over, go home.
But yeah, no, I very much like this movie. Joe, you also like this movie?
Yeah, here's my overall thoughts. I guess as a Deadpool fan, I personally really love had fun time during the first time seeing it in theaters, watching it. I thought the jokes were very funny, and and it felt it felt catered to fans. But even then, I still think it's really good with its comedy, good sense of action, and the story's pretty good in itself, and show a little more depth to a character that I feel.
Can I ask a question?
What?
Whose balls did you have to fondle to get on Movie Mumbles?
Shut up! Oh my god, he's my fucking brother, dude. What is fucking wrong?
All I had to do was just grab my AK and then threaten him with
Yeah, you're invisible imaginary AK.
Yeah, with your invisible imaginary balls.
What the fuck is wrong with you? Seriously, what's your thoughts? One more.
Yeah.
My overall thoughts. I think I've summed up my overall thoughts. I thought it was fine. I didn't really enjoy it, and I didn't hate it.
Okay.
Oh yeah. By the way, before I want to ask you. Remember that strip club scene? How do you like it? I know you're a fan of Tips after watching The Day Live. And I love the stand.
Let's move on. We're over the
best
time.
best Stan Lee cameo since the Amazing Spider-Man 1.
No, just best Stanley cameo. like where else would Stanley be if in real life? But anyway, moving on. It's Joe's pick again for R-rated superhero movies,
and it's the other one that's a lot different compared to Deadpool. It's Logan.
Yeah. Oh, a Fox one. That's interesting. That's gonna be an interesting one to talk about. You know,
yes.
It's definitely contrasted.
As though there's only ever 2 R-rated films that anyone's interested in at the moment.
But it's still an interesting contrast.
It's very much a contrast with Deadpool. I think that we're gonna have it's gonna be an interesting discussion.
Logan is my favorite superhero movie that's came out in like the last
don't spoil your thoughts.
15 years.
I really love it.
I've seen it like 5 times before.
I really love it.
Okay, anyway, now is your chance to check out Logan before the video comes out, and you can watch it and enjoy the podcast.
I've hurt myself today. I really love that song.